All right, everyone, welcome into H2H, week number 11 in the NFL. It is myself, it is Tasos. We're going to battle it out like we do each and every week. Tasos, it is now, I guess, the first time this season, right, that someone has had a 2-week advantage in terms of the record. You're coming off of a win last week, leading us to a 6-4/4-6 head-to-head record here. How's it feel coming off that? That is absolutely big.
It's huge. It's huge. It's kind of sad we broke the trend. It was nice for a while having that kind of back and forth thing. And to be fair, this is probably the most theatrical week of HH so far this year, where it's like it came down to Sunday, and honestly, if you look at I had Eagles money line decided it for me. Brandon McManus misses the field goal, and if he makes that, who knows? Maybe everything changes. But yeah, it was a good week. We both went 3-1. Eagles money line, called my shot there. Obviously, the Troy Franklin anytime touchdown was the one that won me the week. That was what you even texted me.
I texted you right afterwards. I was like, because I said in last week's video, I was like, that's going to be like a turning point. That's going to be really hard to. It was a plus 183 play for anyone that isn't aware. And I was like, I texted you. I was like, Troy Franklin, because that was a deciding. Like that is a big momentum booster. As you mentioned, I went 3-1. But when you have an Eagles at plus 127, which was really good value doing that early in the week, Troy Franklin at plus 183, my plays were minus 110, minus 119, plus 101. Those are the winners. The fact that I didn't come out with a win is like, it's bittersweet because, okay, I was circling the target, right? But you got to get a win when you go 3-1. I know you've had those in the past as well. I don't know if it stings more or stings less, but nonetheless, we are here.
It's tough because it's like on one hand, it's like you were right. Like you on your picks that you gave, you went 2-1. Obviously, I gave you the win with the Patriots one, which that's the only time I think ever where I lost the pick at HH. I'm like, you know what? Good. I'm happy I lost that pick. But like you had a good week, and it just like I said, it just comes down to units, and that Troy Franklin touchdown was the deciding factor ultimately. So, but we had a good week.
Good call.
I'll give you your class because we've both been having great seasons. This is like I think the fourth week of HH where we both tied, and it came down to units. I think at least 4.
Yeah, there's been so many weeks in which, not so many, I shouldn't say that. We're only 10 weeks through. But there's been plenty of weeks of a 4-0 versus a 3-1, or a 3-1 versus a 3-1, and it came down to just like which way the change, bounced. So you're totally right there. I mean, the other ones like smoked too. Ashton Genty really sweat-ish free, and Jordan Love over 9.5 rushing yards that I had. I don't even remember how many he ran for, but it was a lot more than
that. Surprisingly, the only pick you lost was the one that we both loved. Obviously, you watched my Sunday Football video. I was very high on the Steelers. I got absolutely embarrassed there, but we both when you picked the Steelers money line, I was upset because I liked that play a lot. I was all on board with the Steelers, so that's the one play you lost, and that was a play that I literally couldn't have loved more. So it was a good week.
It is what it is.
Yep. Hey. 2-game lead. Now the pressure all goes on to you. I'll say this though, right off the bat. I'm not loving the board this week. The board last couple weeks have been very clear. This week it's a little more dicey. So I'll give you that little sliver of hope. I'm not in love with the board this week.
Let's hope you're not doing a little reverse psychology or just regular psychology on me.
God forbid.
God forbid. Here we go again. I will say that I love my spots. Mm-hmm. Whether or not my spots are able to be fit into the show today is, time will tell. Do I get the wheel spins on my side? By the way, guys, if you don't know how the show works, we spin a wheel, dictates pretty much the entire show, and we have to adapt and go with the flow and everything kind of on our toes. But Tasos, instead of talking to him about it, should we jump into it and
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get a 3-game lead here.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment down below. Does Tasos win this week? Does he go up 7-4 in a crucial time? Or does your boy Ev bounce back? Let us know down in the comments. You guys are going to see a wheel on your screen in just a second. This has a bunch of Ev slices, a bunch of Tasos slices. Whichever slice, but whoever this lands on, that's who goes first. It's a snake draft from there. And it is very important to get that first pick. Me and Tasos both just said, to some degree, Tasos doesn't love the board. I don't love some categories. It's really important sometimes to get that first pick. So, Tasos, you ready to spin it?
Let's do it. Let's see what do the wheel gods decide? It's gonna be Ev.
All right. I think that's a good old indicator of who's gonna win this week.
Okay. Well,
that is where my mind is at.
I mean, we don't have the numbers in front of us on how it correlates from first pick to wins.
But it does. It does. It does.
Didn't you have the first pick last week?
I don't know. We don't have the numbers in front of us. That doesn't even matter. If we don't have the numbers in front of us, why do we talk about it? You know what I mean? What's the point? But all right, guys, another wheel is going to jump up on your screen now. We have a bunch of categories. Thank you to everyone that's helped build this throughout the H to H season for sure. We have, I don't even know at this point, Tasos, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I lost count. You know what I mean? But if you do, we're still looking for categories to add. And I know we get a lot of good suggestions every single week. Just because we're not adding any to it doesn't mean that we're like, oh, that's a bad suggestion. It just means we haven't really gotten to it. So if you feel like you've added a good suggestion or we've replied and all that, drop in the comments again. But essentially, guys, literally, I should say, not essentially, whatever this lands on is the category that for now, round number 1, Tasos and myself both have to make a play within. After that, we spin the wheel again for round number 2, round number 3, so on and so forth. So, Tasos, I know you say you don't like the board. I like spread and probably money line this week. What do you like?
Same thing. I think the player prop side of it, I'm a little more iffy on. More specifically, rookie prop. Obviously, it's always a little bit tougher. I do have one play, and that's about it for rookie prop. But we haven't gotten drafter's choice yet. We're still a couple weeks now. We've had the category, and we haven't gotten it yet. So I'm hoping for drafter's choice. But yeah, I'm with you. Spreads, totals, money lines is kind of where my strengths lie this week.
To clarify, drafter's choice, if it lands right now, it'd be my choice, though.
That is true.
So you'd have to, but I know what you mean. All right, let's go ahead and spin this bad boy. If we get a spread, I'm smiling.
Yeah, but we like the same thing. So you're going to go ahead and take, oh, it was so close too.
Ooh, I do have a couple. Oh man, no, I'm kind of torn. I have a couple of these, and this is like good and bad. I have 2 that I really like. Anytime touchdown is what's popped up. I have 2 that I really like, and I am very torn between them.
Well, you got to make a play, so let's see what you got.
I know. All right, so I don't know if this is that, like, I don't think it holds that much value, but I'm almost like throwing out the G word, guarantee that we see a touchdown this week from this dude. I know.
Okay.
Tasos, I think I have to double down on it.
Okay.
I'm going.
Well, let's hear the pick first.
Bijan Robinson, anytime touchdown, -145, doubling down.
Who do the Falcons play this week?
Falcons play the Panthers. I hope the Panthers. That's what I have here.
Yeah, it is Panthers. Yep.
Okay, Falcons play the Panthers, -145 on Novig. The reason, I mean, he hasn't scored in 3 weeks. The guy is obviously an animal, one of the best in the league. The reason I'm doubling down on it.
Dumbing down. Let's hear it.
Yeah, well, let's dumb it down for the people back home and myself. Doubling down on it, which is 2 units on this play, guys. You have 1 double down. You can use 1 double down per week, we say, right?
Yeah.
Because it's -145. A touchdown at -145 is a hell of a lot of juice to pay. I do think he's going to score, but I think the only way for me to make up some ground here would be, to double down on this. So yeah, right off the bat, doubling down, Bijan scoring a touchdown, going up against the Panthers, not exactly the worst defense in the league. I wouldn't say that whatsoever, but they haven't really let up a touchdown. I mean, I think they let one up to Josh Jacobs, but in the last few weeks, haven't really been letting up touchdowns. Bijan Robinson hasn't scored in a few weeks. Kind of a perfect time for one of the best backs in the league to score said touchdown.
Yeah, I can't really argue it too much. I mean, the only thing I can say is the last time these 2 teams played, the Falcons literally scored 0 points. So that's obviously, to be fair though, Carolina's defense isn't that good. I think that was just an anomaly.
I think that's a good sign. Like, let's go crush them type of thing.
And I get the point, because that's the thing. If you don't double down here, from a value standpoint, it's not totally worth it. But I can't really argue against it too much. I do like the play. The only thing I will say is the Falcons defense. Well, actually, no, Panthers defense. We're talking Panthers here. Yeah, I don't really see a problem with this play, honestly. Yep. I mean, he is obviously the focal point of this offense. The only thing is if you get a weird Falcons game where they just, and that's the thing, this Atlanta team is so weird this year. They remind me a lot of the Tennessee Titans from a couple years ago where they still had, I think it was the final years of Vrabel, where it's like they'd have these games where they just look the worst team in the league. And then the next week, Ryan Tannehill would throw for like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and they'd win. And it's like, what is this team? They have that kind of energy where it's like they could win, they could beat any team, and they could lose to any team. But you could say Bijan's due. I mean, he did. If you look at the head-to-head numbers, going back to last year, of course, he had 2 total touchdowns in each of the 2 games last year. Obviously, the first game he had none, but like he obviously dominated these Panthers team both times last year. I don't think they hold him without one again here. And, he's only 44% hit rate, but you could, and we say it all the time, he's kind of due here. He's 3 straight weeks without a touchdown. And to be fair, the last 2 weeks, the Patriots and Colts run defense are both pretty damn good. I'm pretty
Well,
sure they're
it's been the Tyler Algier vulture culture
that
as well.
too.
Like
Yeah,
he had a bunch. I think he might have had 2 touchdowns last week, right? Like
I
that's
believe
what I
so.
would
Yeah.
worry about. But I do think that like, and I guess we can call it a situation, but like getting smacked by this team earlier in the season, recognizing that your star player hasn't scored a touchdown in a few weeks, like let's not act like these aren't humans. You don't think when a guy gets down to the goal line, they're like, hey. Let's go. Let's get him one. Do you know what I mean? Like when Josh Jacobs had that, I don't think he still has it, but when he was on that touchdown streak, you're telling me that they weren't like, hey, let's make sure to try and really punch one in. I could see this being a situation when we're like, hey, we recognize that Algier has been vulturing the crap out of your goal line carries and touchdowns. We're playing a bad team. Let's punch one in for the guy.
Yeah, I like it. And like I said, I think you just highlighted honestly the biggest weakness of this, and it is the fact that I just looked at the numbers. Tyler Algier, number 1 in red zone carries, 20 red zone carries against Bijan's 15. That being said, Bijan is second on this team in red zone targets. So like if he doesn't get on the ground, could get it to the air. I mean, even with Algier kind of sniping a lot of the work, he still gets a really high volume. 15 red zone carries this year, 7 red zone targets. Like it's still good. The only other thing is the Panthers, they are only giving up the 12th most touchdowns in the NFL to running back. So, like, it's not a bad defense. They're not a great defense. They're, like, right kind of in the middle. So, like I said, I like it. I honestly would bet this myself personally.
Okay.
It's a good play. It just, there's a couple of little red flags, but they're minor. They're small flags.
All right. What are you looking at for a touchdown score?
I like, honestly, a lot here, and it's Justin Jefferson, anytime touchdown against the Bears. Best odds plus 120 over on Fanatics is what I'm grabbing it for. He only has 2 touchdowns this season, which obviously is a bit low for him. That being said, both touchdowns that he has this year were with JJ McCarthy at quarterback. And I think that's a big thing. Obviously, JJ, not the best young quarterback right now, but these young quarterbacks, they kind of get very fixated on one target, the guy they trust. Who's more trustworthy in the NFL than JJ does? Right now, the Bears 28th in touchdowns allowed versus wide receivers 30th, so the 3rd worst defense in the NFL in terms of touchdowns allowed to the wide receiver position, giving up 1.4 per game. So you got a really good defensive matchup. This Bears defense is not good. Their offense looks pretty good, but defensively, their defense is an absolute train wreck here, 28th in the NFL in scoring, giving up 27.4 points per game. We just saw a few weeks ago Joe Flacco throw for almost 500 yards on them. I think Justin Jefferson's a really good bet. Again, trying to pull up the numbers right here just to show with JJ McCarthy what it looks like this year. Just give me one moment here. JJ McCarthy. And you'll see so far this year, when McCarthy is the quarterback, 50% hit rate. So obviously he's played 4 games. 2 of the 4, he scored a touchdown with Justin Jefferson. And obviously you go down below here to the target share. I mean, he's number 1 in targets by a pretty good margin. 30.5% target share. In the red zone, he's tied with Jalen Naylor, which honestly, if you had to give me a guess of who number 2 would be, it would not have been Jalen Naylor, but they are tied with 10 red zone targets. But again, similar to what we talked about with Bijan, even though he is sharing a workload, you see Jordan Addison has 9, TJ Hawkinson has 8. A lot of guys getting work in the red zone. He is still the top dog. He is still the alpha in this offense. And again, with a young quarterback like JJ McCarthy, when the going gets tough, when you need to make a big throw, you go to him. My last point before I throw it over to you, he did play the Bears, obviously, once this year, the season opener, and he had a touchdown in that game. We unfortunately, for some reason, don't have – I think he didn't play against the Vikings last year because he was hurt. So no head-to-head data last year. But so far this year with 100% hit rate. So pretty good there. Like I said, across the board, the numbers look pretty solid to me. What are your thoughts on this one?
So I do like it. And JJ, when you have JJ McCarthy as the quarterback, he has a 47% red zone target share. So he's getting nearly half that targets too. So I like it. I think that this is a Bears defense that we've already seen. You kind of alluded to it, right? How bad they are now. Did any of the receivers last week, catch a touchdown from Jackson Dart or anything like that? No, but that's not exactly the same. Like I wouldn't give the Bears too much credit. We even saw how, they were losing most of that game. Part of the reason why Brian Daboll was fired was because another blown lead. You know what I mean? Like they had like a 90-something% chance to win. So we can't sit here and be like, oh, the Bears, like we can't talk the Bears up defensively or offensively. They've been handed multiple wins this year, and no one's blown more leads than the Giants. So I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh, well, last week they held strong. No, like this is a Bears defense that really struggles. You talked about it. T. Higgins had 2 against them, when a while back. Charlie Jones, Isovias, whatever his name is, they had touchdowns as well. So I can't really knock this one. The only thing I will say is I'm still like kind of like a jury's out type guy on Justin, on JJ McCarthy. Like I really don't
Oh yeah, me
know
too. Yeah,
how good
I'm
he's going to be.
not.
So, but Justin Jefferson's that good. You know what I mean? So I can't knock it. But again, the guy who's throwing him the ball, I still do think sometimes I'm like, what's going on here in a sense. But I don't mind it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm not sold on JJ McCarthy either. I have a lot of doubts with him. But my thing is, again, it's even we've seen in the past, like bad quarterbacks can still get things happening, especially when you have someone like Justin Jefferson. Now, I think the Giants game, no receivers really did much. Well, you got to look who the receivers are, like Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton. Like they don't really have
Yep.
this great receiving core right now. Justin Jefferson is in a class of his own in terms of wide receivers. So big difference there. Again, I completely understand the point that like the quarterback throwing it is not really all that good. I would take Jackson Dart over JJ McCarthy right now. I don't think that's that crazy of a take. But like I said, like you said, the Bengals game, T. Higgins had 2. I mean, we've seen Joe Flacco dice this defense up. They don't really have too much of a pass rush. The secondary is weak. McCarthy already did it once against this team this year. So again, it comes down to like I just think Justin Jefferson's such a good wide receiver that one touchdown against this weak Bears defense. Even though McCarthy's on the weaker end of the spectrum in terms of starting quarterbacks, I think they can get one touchdown between the two of them.
Yep, and you know that they're going to be looking his way most
Absolutely.
likely when getting down there. All right, you ready to jump into round number 2 here?
Let's do it.
That is a big round number 1 for me, especially being down 6-4 because that's a double down spot on Bijan.
Yeah,
I am shaking in my boots, but I do like the spot. All right, you're starting us off here.
Yeah, you lose that one. That's a 2-unit hole you're in already.
It's a tough one. Yep, but I do like it a lot. I got to stick to my guns there.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and spin this. I know you want a spread or money line. I want the same thing. So let's see if we can pop that one up.
And we're gonna get plus money play, kind of in the same.
Okay.
Sort of in the same ballpark, I guess.
It depends on that. I guess
it depends on what you're going for.
You're showing me your cards a little too much there. I guess.
No. We're not getting too crazy here.
That's the only reason those are the same.
We're not getting too crazy here.
What are you starting with?
Let's see here. I am gonna get a little crazy, and you know what, Ev?
Okay, I like that. I guess.
Well, you know what? I have this play in my back pocket, and I'm really debating if I wanted to deploy it or not. But I'm gonna go for it because I feel very strongly about this take. They've been getting a lot of disrespect in the media. I am gonna take. This is the same thought process last week. This is a big one. This hits. This could be the week. I'm going Denver Broncos on the money line here, plus 186 over on Novig. They are at home against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
Big game for the AFC West. I was watching, I don't really watch the sports studio shows too much. When I was a kid, I used to watch them all the time, ESPN, FS1, all that stuff. Nowadays, not as much, but I did watch Colin Cowherd today, and he has the Chiefs at 5th on his hierarchy, and he has the Broncos at like 8. And I'm like, the Broncos are 8-2, the Chiefs are 5-4. How can you put a team that's 3 wins higher, 3 or 4 spots below? I get the Chiefs; they're still a good team to a degree. They have the home field advantage here. Their defense is insane. And like I said, the Chiefs are still a solid team, but this Denver defense is so damn good. It's hard for me to avoid them. The last time these two teams played, both times they played last year, Denver kept it at least within close. The first time they played, the Broncos lost, but it was a 2-point game. The second time they played, granted, it was I think the last game of the season, 38-0. They blanked the Chiefs, but again, that was January 5th, last game of the regular season. It doesn't count really all that much, but yeah, this is just a really tough spot for the Chiefs. I think everyone kind of keeps saying their offensive line is fixed. They figured it all out. I don't think so. Like their offensive line is still work in progress. This is not a Broncos defense that you want to go ahead and experiment with. Very high pass rush. Mahomes obviously still the best quarterback in the NFL in my opinion, but I think you're at Mile High. Really tough place to play in. Like I said, Chiefs right now. I'm just not. It's more about me fading Kansas City. You're giving me an 8-2 Broncos team at home as a plus 186 underdog. That's just too good for me to pass up for a Chiefs offense that really hasn't been that great, and for a defense of the Kansas City side that's it's solid, but like I said, it's definitely a toss up. It's me kind of taking a big shot here, but I really like the spot for the Broncos for that value.
Yeah, I get the value. I almost have the concern if I was in your camp here, the Chiefs coming off of
bye week,
a bye, and it's like I still can't. I know they they aren't the Chiefs that they were and stuff, but it's like Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, their defense as well, like off of a bye. I just think that they take it to another level in a sense. I wish I could actually find the record. I didn't know you were throwing that out there, so it's not my fault. I don't have this in front of me, but I wish I knew what in the last like 5 years or whatever, what their record off a bye was, because I just have to imagine that it's pretty good. But again, like I'm talking about ifs and kind of theoreticals. I don't even have it in front of me. So you may be right. And again, like the value is really hard for me to deny here. Like this is a Denver team. I have their over 9.5 wins. I'm feeling really good about that. They've won what 6 or 7 in a row now, right?
Something like that now. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so it's like I'm sitting here and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can't really knock where you're coming from, and especially at home. I mean, this is obviously a Denver team that's very good in general, but they haven't lost a game at home yet. And it's like the Chiefs have been terrible on the road. So I almost want to hate it because of the bye, but I can't, because you're getting the what do you say, plus 186?
186, yeah.
I can't knock it, but I do like, I don't think that I would dip my pen into that ink just because of the bye week.
Yeah, I mean, I have a number here. This is from Evan Abrams over at Action Network, and this is,
okay.
I'm completely going against myself here, but I gotta be honest. Between 2019 and 2024, he writes Andy Reid and Mahomes went 30-5 straight up on any extended prep time. That includes obviously bye weeks if they played on Thursday night and they had a game on Sunday.
Was it 30 and what?
30-5 straight up. So just not even talking spreads, just money lines.
Jeez. Well, I guess they're probably heavy favorites in most games, I guess. So
yeah,
we'll keep going.
But yeah, and then it's like Reid and Mahomes are 34-10 straight up, went on any extended prep times as a duo during the season, not counting week 1. There's a bunch of numbers that you can kind of look at. Again, it's I understand all the risks. I understand like the Broncos offense has not been good. And this is obviously a solid Chiefs defense. I understand all those things. I will say the one area the Chiefs are a little bit weaker defensively, not that they're weak there necessarily, but the weaker area of their defense is their run defense. And obviously that's the strength of Denver's offense, is their rushing offense. So that's one area. The Broncos also a very good offensive line. Chiefs pass rush hasn't been great this year. Bro Next could have some extra time in the pocket. There are some advantages if you really look into it. But again, beyond matchup and beyond anything, you're giving me an 8-2 team on this extended winning streak at home for plus 186. It's just honestly a value play for me more than anything. But again, I do think they have a real shot to win. It's
hard for me to argue.
Yeah.
That's the part that's hard for me to argue. I mean, and like I know you've mentioned it in some way or another, but like this Broncos defense is like it's legit. Probably the best defense in the league if in multiple fashions. You know what I mean? Like, sure, maybe they don't have like the fact that they can rush the quarterback, stop the run, have Pat Surtain if he's healthy out there. Like I get it. And Mahomes, another thing just off the top of my head, like dices up zone, doesn't really play well against man. When Pat Surtain's playing, the Broncos run the most man in the entire league. Now, I don't know if they will because they play a lot of zone when he doesn't play, and they have for the last couple of weeks. But either way, now we're getting in the nitty gritty. I really can't knock it. That bye week thing scares me, and extended rest, you kind of even, I guess, kind of help my point, like you said, right?
Yeah, like I said, I'm acknowledging right away. Like this is a kind of not a shot in the dark necessarily, but like this is me like calling my shot. This is me going like, hey, you know what? Kind of same strategy as last week. If this hits, I'm up 1.86 units, and now I have a huge lead over you in the week. Yeah, and like I said, if it was any other team, I probably wouldn't take it. But again, it's just Mile High Stadium is such a huge home field advantage too. It's not anywhere else.
Yeah, they're 5-0 this year at home. You can't deny that, you know. So I get it. And also, like, I think that people, if this is your first year watching, people will probably start to see, like, there is a dynamic of when you're just trying to win. Like, I could be -2 units and Tasos is -1 unit on the week. He still gets a win. Like, obviously, we don't want that. We don't want to be in the negative. But, like, Tasos being able to have a 2-game separation right now, being able to take a little throw while I'm doubling down on a Bijan -145, like, definitely kind of impacts some things.
Yep.
But, all right. I have a play here that's plus 126 on FanDuel, and it's just a defense that I want to back and an offense that I want to fade. So it kind of works out for me because I'm going Jacksonville team total under 19.5. This offense has looked incredible the last 2 weeks. And they're not incredible. I shouldn't say that. Just like they've scored a lot of points, okay? Because they haven't looked like the way they've scored some points, especially that overtime game against Las Vegas, really hasn't looked incredible. So I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. Like they've scored 30 and 29 points in back-to-back games, while like I just don't even know how they've scored that many points. Like watching those games, it's like clunky, 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 boom, scoring. Now they're playing the Chargers, who are obviously a very good defense, and also, which is a nice little fact and able to find on our Guy Boston Sports dashboard. If you guys want to check it out, GuyBostonSports.com. The number one team in terms of time of possession. So they're playing this Chargers team who will hopefully try and hold the ball, and they have a very good defense, right? They're allowing 20.3 points per game. I think that this is a spot to fade Jacksonville. I would have liked, now that this is kind of off the board, I already had them at the 21.5 for a little bit more juice. But like I told you earlier, I have some spots that I really like and some situations I really like. I want to fit them in. So I might be jamming a square peg into a round hole here. But I do like, because I'm alting this line to get it down to plus money type of thing. But I do like the idea of, Jacksonville scoring like 17 points this week after a bunch of points so far this year. And we've seen them, the Rams, good defense, 7 points. The Seattle defense, good, right? 12 points. Houston earlier in the year, 17 points. They've scored a bunch of points against Kansas City, San Fran, Cincinnati, Carolina. I know there's some good defenses mixed in there, but I'm trusting the Chargers this week, man.
I mean, there's a couple other things to help your case here. Obviously, unfortunately, we don't root for injuries here, but Travis Hunter obviously out for the season. They just announced
Yep.
Probably the end of his two-way playing career, if we're being honest. I don't foresee him coming back from a knee injury like that and committing to playing that many snaps. I could be wrong. But you lose Travis Hunter. Obviously, Brian Thomas, I believe, is still out. Like, they've got a lot of injuries in the wide receiver room. We obviously in our player prop live stream on Sunday, we talked about this. Like, yeah, they bring in Jacoby Myers, but it's only his second week with the team. So he's still new, getting acclimated to life in Jacksonville and the offense. And so, and not only that, their offensive line still isn't great. This is a Chargers team that, if you look at defensively, they don't have a necessarily like a top 5 passer or anything, but like this is still tied for 8th in the NFL in sacks per game, tied for 16th in QB hits. It's a good pass rush. We saw it against the Steelers. They put a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers, and that Steelers offensive line is solid. This is not a great Jacksonville offensive line, tied for 22nd in sacks allowed, 22nd in QB hits, tied for 26th in QB hurries. So, Trevor Lawrence under pressure has not been very good in his career. I think that Chargers defense showed out. I agree with you. I think this is a good play. Jacksonville's offense, I've not been sold on them all year. I think, again, some of the circumstances have helped them a little bit. Obviously the Bengals, we've seen a lot of teams score on Cincinnati. The Panthers, we've seen teams score on the Panthers, so on and so forth. Like you said, the good comparables would, to me, are the Rams, who they only scored 7, the Seahawks, they only scored 12, the Texans, they only scored 17. So those are the defenses you can kind of compare in that same category as the Chargers. And, they're in that ballpark for every one of those. So, yeah, I can't really hate on it too much. I don't really have too much faith in this Jaguars offense right now. The only thing I could say is Chargers come off a big win. Maybe it's a little bit of like they kind of blew their load, so to speak, against the Steelers, and maybe they come out defensively a little flat. Because to be fair, if you look at the last couple of games before, we did see the Chargers have some stinkers. They kind of locked in for that Steelers game, but pulling up the numbers, in the weeks prior,
they had 20 to Tennessee, which is honestly not good. But then 10 to Minnesota.
Yeah, but that's more of a Carson Wentz thing, I think.
Carson Wentz, right? And then before that, it was pretty ugly.
38 to the Colts. You got 27 to the Dolphins, 27 to the Commanders, so on and so forth. So
it's certainly more of a fading of Jacksonville than it is like I'm backing the Chargers in the sense of I think they're a good defense and they control the ball. That's I'm not trying to say that they're like, I think that this is a Jacksonville stubbing their toe versus, LA Chargers from the top ropes and shutting them down, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. And like I said, this is a good play. You're scaring me a little bit. Your board's looking pretty good so far. I like it.
That double down is a good counter to your plus 180, whatever, plus, like if I double, that's good. But if it doesn't, then geez, I'm going to hate Bijan forever.
Do you remember, was it 2 years ago that Bijan Robinson was completely healthy on the injury report, and then 5 minutes before the game, during warm-up, pulled himself out because he was sick and didn't play? I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that. Well,
that's that. I mean, maybe I almost would be like, I wouldn't mind that either, because then it's just like, push. Okay, well, I'm just like, because I know I'm gonna be like shitting myself before the game because now I have 2 units on it in a sense. So I guess I might be like, whatever. Like, we had some fun. Let's just let it go. All right, I'm starting us off in round number 3, right?
Yep. I gotta give you credit. You've been very good this year. There've been no mess ups. Right? Yeah, there's been no mess ups so far.
Tasos.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Drafters choice.
I really want. I want to see what you do here. I really do.
Yeah. So this is a good one to have because FYI, it's pretty self-explanatory, and we haven't had it yet since adding it to the wheel. But guys, drafters choice is whoever's up first, aka me in this spot, gets to choose a category, and Tasos now has to think quick on his feet and partake in that category. Now, Tasos, I'm not going to, but I want to go spread, but almost just via the context we've talked about, right?
Yep. I gave away my secrets. Yep.
Yeah, I can't do it. Now, you also said you don't like player props this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, or rookie props. So I feel like I'm going to take, 10 seconds here. And anyone watching, don't think I'm dilly-dallying. I really am thinking about, all right, what are we going to do? Because I kind of know where Tasos does and doesn't want to go. So I'm kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really kind of curious or thinking to try and analyze where I can go. Because I do have, yeah, I mean, honestly, probably, but yeah. It's what it is, I guess. This is a tough one. It really is. This is crazy. All right. I think I'm going to go, because I don't think you're deep at this category.
Okay.
But I'm going to go another anytime touchdown scorer.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with, so let's see. Let me get the odds for this one to make sure that I have it. It's plus one. What did I have it noted at? Should be plus 135, which is pretty good for plus 125 now. All right. It's dipped 10 cents since I pulled it up. All right. So the Eagles have a pretty tough matchup this week, right? Big game against the Lions. Another guy that hasn't scored in a while, but I do think it's about time. Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown. So a rushing touchdown, plus 125 on DK. This is the type of spot that I'm looking at where I say, okay, this is going to be a big game. And, I do think that this is honestly, kind of like a, just like an NFC, just playoff showdown type of thing, right? A lot of meaning behind it. If they get in the red zone, the way that Saquon's even been playing and all this, if they get to the goal line, I guess I should say, I don't see them messing around. I see them being like, all right, screw it. Let's go to the play that converts X percent of the time. And we just haven't seen a tush-push touchdown in forever, once in the last 6 weeks. Now, you might say that that's a bad look, right? Like maybe they're getting away from it and all that. But realistically, like this is still Jalen Hurts who is owning the red zone rush percentage, right? Just a matter of them getting into the red zone. So I like Jalen Hurts for plus 125 to score a touchdown here. Again, guys, it is a rushing touchdown, not passing, anything like that. But give me the tush push in a game that I don't think that they're going to want to mess around if they're at the goal line.
Yeah, I can't really argue it too much. I mean, he's due. You can make the argument that the tush push, they're starting to figure it out, the NFL. But I like you said, he hasn't done it in so long. He's got to do it eventually.
It's also the type of thing where I'm zeroing this around a tush push. This is a really, really good Lions team. It wouldn't shock me if all of a sudden, they're on the 16-yard line and there's pressure, but guys are covered and Jalen Hurts takes off and goes and runs. You know what I mean? Like,
just in the last 4 games. Sorry to interrupt you. Just in the last 4 games, McCarthy had a rushing touchdown and Patrick Mahomes had a rushing touchdown. So you already have in the last month a couple instances where some other quarterbacks who are on the same level of running quarterback as I guess you could say Jalen. I think Jalen Hurts is a better rusher than both those guys. And they had touchdowns against this team. So, the Lions, they do rank sort of in the latter half right now. They're ranked 17th, giving up 0.2 touchdowns per game to quarterbacks. Obviously a small sample size, but, I mean, Jalen Hurts, he's still, despite a low number this year, 4 of 9 games, he's got 5 rushing touchdowns in the season. Last year, he covered at a 68% hit rate and had a ton of touchdowns. He hasn't, like I said, hasn't done it in a few games. The only thing that would concern me is just the fact that he's only done it once in the last 6 games, I guess. But again, we say it all the time. It just means that he's pretty much due for one. I mean,
and I think this, like I said, is a big game, right? If we look at the last 3 games of their season, so that was the Chiefs, the Commanders, almost said the R word, and the Rams, right? He had 5 total rushing touchdowns in those games last year. Now, I'm not trying to say this is the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship, but I do think that there's going to be opportunities in the red zone, and this is a really good red zone team in the Eagles. I don't think they want to mess around. Also, Detroit plays a ton of man defense. Jalen Hurts maybe get going. I like taking quarterbacks for like rushing yards and stuff against man because the defense's back's turned a lot of the time, and if they don't have a spy or something like that. But anyways, where are you going for a touchdown score?
I feel like I have to give this a little love because I did a lot of trash talking my own team last week. I am going Drake May anytime touchdown here, which I am grabbing for plus 192 over on Novik. So some big plays this week out of me. If one of these hits, I'm in.
Yeah, that's another big swing.
Again, like you talked about strategy, like being up 2 weeks, two wins, it does give me a little bit, a little more leeway to take some risks here. Overall, the Jets defense this year, 22nd in touchdowns allowed touchdowns allowed in general, giving up just shy of 3 touchdowns per game. Versus quarterbacks, they actually are top 5. So this is a very good defense in terms of touchdowns allowed to quarterbacks. Look at the last 4 games. Only Joe Flacco. Of course, Joe Flacco would be the one to get a rushing touchdown against him.
That's absolutely crazy.
Especially when the other 3 quarterbacks were Bo Nix, Bryce Young, and Dylan Gabriel, who are all pretty athletic and can run. Pretty crazy. But yeah, I just, this is a game where I feel like Drake May, now, to be fair, he hasn't had a rushing touchdown since the Panthers game. He only has 2 this year. The 2 numbers I'm looking at, 3. First of all, the value, obviously, plus 192. Great value. From a head-to-head perspective, the last time these 2 teams played last year, on October 27th, he had a rushing touchdown against the Jets. So he already has a little bit of a track record versus them. But also just the carries, red zone rushing attempts, it's Ramondre's 1. Ramondre's probably not going to play. Then it's Travion, which, he was my runner-up. It was between Drake May and Travion for who was going to pick here. But again, Travion, I think, is like minus 160 now. Drake May plus money. He is 1 red zone carry fewer than Travion Henderson this season. Gibson's out. I don't think Terrell Jennings is also banged up. Like, they are running on fumes right now in that running back room. You get in the red zone here, Drake May, whether it be a little QB sneak or he takes off and scrambles for a touchdown, all are very likely outcomes, honestly, in this situation. I do think New England should be able to score a healthy amount in this game. Jets defense actually pretty efficient in the red zone. So I think you could see them clamp up a little bit. Now, obviously, that a lot of the numbers you can't take too much of because that is most of the season with Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, who obviously are no longer there. But, red zone, they kind of clamp up a little bit. Drake May scurries off for a touchdown. I don't think it's that crazy to say. Again, not a lot of record data this year to kind of justify that. Even last year, he only had 2 rushing touchdowns last season. He has 2 so far this year. So not a lot of rushing touchdowns, but he is an athletic guy. He has the ability to do it. I don't think I think for the value, I'm going to go ahead and take a chance here. And again, it's a shot. This one's a shot in the dark, if I'm being honest. But I think the matchup's a good one. I think Drake May in those nice rivalry nor'easter jerseys, a rushing touchdown for Drake May. It just seems like it's got to be happening.
Yeah, but, I mean it's similar to. I hope you are. It's similar to the the other flyers you're taking in a sense because I don't think I wouldn't say Drake May is going to score a touchdown. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think it might be worth a 192 sprinkle with your lead running back out of the game. What I will say though is if you look at some of the pressure numbers from this Jets team in terms of sack or QB hits, like nothing. And this is a Patriots team that clearly actually has a pretty long road ahead this year. They're looking really, really good. Looking good for I think you had their over for wins in our preseason episode as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a mandate of Drake, stay in the pocket and throw. We don't want you running around. At the goal line or in the red zone, that can change, right? But we've seen it before, not necessarily with Tom Brady, but with other quarterbacks where they say it gets late in the year, don't take hits. I think Josh Allen is like the most famous example where whether it was McDermott or even like other offensive coaches being like, dude, like late in the year, we've got to be a quarterback, not a running back. So maybe there might be a little bit of that, but now I'm just like grasping at stuff because I feel like it's plus 192 obviously is a shot like you mentioned. So it's not like I'm arguing with someone, like I'm not arguing with you being like it's a lock. It's like I don't have to argue whether you think it's a lock or not, right? I think it's fairly priced at 192 and I could easily see it happening because of the lack of weapons. I don't know if Booty's going to be playing in this one, but he didn't play last week.
Now. Yeah,
so you go one of his favorite targets. I mean, and Ramondre is a big one, so I could totally see it happening. I do think that I feel good about how I played that drafter's choice though, because you took a flyer in a one that I like both my touchdown scores, especially that second one. But I think that, the flyer could come back to bite me. So I can't knock you for taking the flyer. But I like that I could also see it not happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The one last thing I'll note here is you have seen and I know you said about Drake May kind of stay in the pocket. The coaches in New England, McDaniels, Vrabel, they want him to stay in. This is one of the things that worries me about Drake May is that he picked up some bad.
He hasn't. Yeah.
He's picked up some bad habits from last year because when the pressure gets to him, and granted, like you said, the Jets don't really bring much pressure, but when the pocket does break down, and this past offensive line the last few weeks hasn't looked that great, he does have a tendency when the going gets tough to just take off and run. The last 5 games, 9 carries, 8 carries, 7 carries, 8 carries, 7 carries. So this is a quarterback who is running a lot. Last 5 games, you just break that down to the average. He's averaging just shy of 8 carries per game. So this is a quarterback who is running the football a lot. Now, granted, you look at those 2 matches versus the Jets last year, 2 carries and 3 carries. Didn't really have to run too much against the Jets last season. But, this is a guy who this year last year in general, he only ran an average of 4.15 carries per game. So he is running actually a lot more this year than he was last year. And a lot of that has to do, I think, with injuries. Like we said, they can't rely on the running game because they don't have running backs to rely on. So they're throwing the ball a lot more than I think they would have liked to. Look at their pass rate this season, 53% pass rate, which is actually below league average, believe it or not. They like to run the football. They really haven't been able to the last couple of games because of the injuries. Drake May kind of takes those extra carries away from a Terrell Jennings, from I don't even know who their other running back is at this point. Dearness Johnson.
Yeah, I don't even know.
He has 1 carry this whole season. So
you're, and also to give Drake May a little credit. It's not just because he's panicking either. He's been not good just at that.
Panicking.
Pockets, but that helps you in a sense. He's running when it is smart, which kind of goes against the chicken with his head cut off running. So yeah, I but also I don't know about in the red zone when you know what I mean? He can see a lot of open area, and that's when he takes off. I would argue that in the red zone, you're not going to see the open area. You might see the open goal line, which, that can feed right into your point, but we'll see. I think in the position you're in and being dealt that category, I can't really knock a plus 192 play that some way, shape, or form I could see happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's plus 192 for a reason. So I do get that, I guess I should say.
It's a big swing, but it's a swing where, it's not the craziest thing. I'm not picking, Efton Chisholm to get a touchdown here. I'm not picking, Kyle Williams, who got his first touchdown last week, but obviously he's someone who doesn't really get a lot of work, in those areas. I'm picking a guy who, granted, not many rushing touchdowns, but you could definitely see it happening.
He's going to have the ball. I mean, as if this was an NBA bet, it'd be his usage is through the roof type of thing. You know what I mean?
Come on, Ev, those jerseys, you don't think he's going to have a little extra pep in his step, a little extra takeoff?
I've seen so many people on social media saying they don't like those jerseys.
I love them. I think the only thing I would change, and it's the stupidest little detail, on the Patriot logo on the helmet, how it's all that grayish blue. I wish the tail end was red. A little bit more red in the jersey, and it'd be better. But I already have. Yeah. I actually should have wore it today. I have my Christian Gonzalez rivalry jersey. I just bought. I buy too much stuff with sports gear.
Jersey guy.
I just bought the long sleeve, the rivalries blue shirt, the hat. I went the Celtics too. I just bought their whole rivalry collection basically today. They just released. I've been waiting for. They just dropped all the shirts, the shorts, the jackets. I went a little too crazy today, so.
Hey, you're just doing your thing, I guess. All right, you want to jump into Fade Me?
I'm ready. All
right, guys, if you don't know what the Fade Me round is, it is super simple, but super, super important. What this is a wheel, just like you saw the very first wheel. It's going to have a final result of Ev or Tasos. Much like Drafter's Choice, but even more like Scrutinous, I guess I would say. Whoever this lands on gets to make a pick from anywhere on the board. The other person, though, has to fade it, hence Fade Me. It's brought to you by FadeMe.store, the merch here on the channel. Go and check it out. But Tasos, I imagine you want this one. Do you have a good one for Fade Me?
I want it, but after last week, obviously, confidence gets a little bit shaken because,
Shooketh.
He's
shooketh, ladies and gentlemen.
Because, I called my shot last week big time with the Bucks, and they came back to bite me. But, yeah, I have a couple interesting ones here.
I just being honest, I don't know if I have I got some of my plays in. Like I told you that I wanted to fit them in the show. I did get 3 of my plays that are Bijan, Jalen, the Jacksonville Jaguars / Chargers some way, shape, or form. I do have a couple more picks, but I wouldn't be mad if you got fade me and I just leave it up to the fade gods here to see what happens. So let's go ahead and spin it. And that's just me being honest.
I got one that I think you're going to really dislike, and that's going to be me.
That's going to be you. It's going through a big Tasos patch. Okay.
Yep.
So wait, did you say I'm going to dislike it?
You're going to dislike it a lot.
Oh man.
I've taken some big swings this episode. This is not a big swing. This is a bunt. This is a bunt.
Boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Hate the sound of that.
You know, Ev, last week having the entire week come down to Monday Night Football was pretty exciting, don't you think? I think we should do. I think we should.
For you it was fun.
I think we should do it again. So I'm going to go here with the Dallas Cowboys on the money line, and it's minus 169 over on Novig. You get the Raiders
plus 165. Same thing, Novig.
Yep. So you get the plus money. This is your big plus money swing of the week. Where I had a couple big ones. This is your big one. The Cowboys are off a bye week, so they haven't played. So they get a nice long rest. They just made a couple of big trades. They made a couple of big trades. Got Logan Wilson from the Bengals. Who else did they just get? Did they get Quinn Williams? They got Quinn Williams, didn't they?
Yeah.
So Logan Wilson.
I believe so.
Yeah, Logan Wilson and Quinn Williams. Yeah. I forgot where Williams went. Yeah, Cowboys. They got a couple of nice upgrades on defense. Obviously, the offense hasn't been a problem. And this is a Raiders team where we just saw them play on Thursday night in what honestly might have been one of the worst NFL games I've ever watched in my life. It was bad. It was punt fest. It was Geno Smith trying his best but still sucking. It was bad. This is not a good Raider defense. This is not a good Raider. It's an even worse Raider offense. We know the Cowboys defense, how bad they've been all year, but guess what? It doesn't matter because they're playing the Raiders. I don't see it. I don't see anything. You can convince me anyway about the Raiders. I don't buy it. I just think this is a bad team. Now defensively, they actually have been playing decent, which I'll give them some credit. But it's the Broncos. How much can I take away from them holding the Broncos at 10 when their offense hasn't been great? But I saw this team put up one of the worst offensive performances in NFL history just a couple weeks ago versus the Chiefs. The Cowboys coming off the bye week with their new additions, they should go ahead and roll this Raiders team by a lot. So I thought about taking spread, but I'm going to play it extra safe. Like I said, take a little bunt here and go with the Cowboys. The Raiders, by the way, 2-8 in their last 10 games at home. Straight up. So
I think my only saving grace is truly how bad that Cowboys defense is.
But Logan Wilson.
I know. But you never. I don't know if we get those guys and then 10 days later or whatever. You know what I mean? But I trust me. I'm not trying to. I don't like having the Raiders. I think Geno Smith. I like Ashton Genty. Not that that's groundbreaking to anyone. He's obviously really, really good. And I've taken him a couple times this year. But I think Geno Smith, I'm starting to watch him throw something. I don't know if you picked it up in that Broncos game specifically. He'll throw the ball, miss his guy, and then his freaking mannerisms, he threw that pick right to Michael Mayer or something like that, and it's he's yelling at Michael Mayer for the interception. He's you got to come towards the ball, and it's I'm sure Michael Mayer could have come towards the ball if it was a better. It's not Pee Wee football. You know what I mean? This guy's an NFL tight end. He knows when to come towards the ball. But anyways. I'm almost at the I can't stand Geno Smith spot. So instead of the Cowboys defense or how bad this Raiders team is, I'm pissed that I have to back Geno Smith. That's where my brain is at. This is more of an emotional win for you right now than it even is with these two teams, because genuinely I was getting so frustrated watching him on the sidelines. He's making a guy drops while he's making a face, and it's dude, make a better pass and you're good. You know what I mean? You rarely see quarterbacks going NBA style flopping their arms and stuff, and he was doing that last week, and I was dude, this guy's gotta go. So
Aaron Rodgers does it a lot, but I was talking.
He does do it a lot. All right, he does do it a lot. That is fair.
I was watching the game with some friends on Sunday, and I was telling them the same thing. Where I'm you know what? Any other quarterback, I'd be getting pretty heated about it. But it's when you're one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, I still don't like it. You shouldn't be yelling at your teammates like that. But when you're one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, at least with him, it's all right. You know what? The guy has over 500 touchdown passes. I give him a little more credence. When you're Geno Smith and you literally lead the league by 5 interceptions and interceptions, you should not be saying anything to your teammates right now.
100%.
The other big thing too is one of the big reasons why the Raiders are struggling offensively is they didn't have a very good offensive line coming into the year, but the one saving grace was they had one of the most underrated best tackles in the league, Colton Miller, and he's out. And so, like, this offensive line was not good to begin with. You lose him. Also, Geno Smith, by the way, is hurt. Obviously, we saw in that game he had hurt his quad. He kept kind of, limping and crying about it a little bit, which I shouldn't say crying, because if I had got that injury, I'd be in a hospital chair. I'd be, if I had a quad bruise, like I can only imagine what I'd be doing with a quad
from an
bruise.
NFL player too.
From an NFL player,
you didn't walk into your counter. You got hit by a linebacker
from John Franklin Myers and that Broncos defensive line. Like, it'd be bad. So, but this Raider, and then the thing with the Raiders is, and this is the telling thing about the Raiders, is like I keep seeing everyone say, "Well, bench him." That tells you how little faith they have of Kenny Pickett. They're like, nope, we're good.
Yeah.
Geno Smith he was hobbling on one leg. I was like, why aren't they pulling him from this game? He clearly is done. Like, he clearly has nothing left in the tank. And they're like, no. Pickett started warming up. They're like, nope, Pickett, go sit down. go sit down. Geno, I'll take Geno with one leg over Kenny Pickett. That's not really a good thing. So
no, it's because he's making what does he make this year? I think it's like almost.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, they paid him a crazy amount of money.
It's like he's got a so that's why they're like, hey,
we're
squeezing this.
That too.
We're squeezing this sponge out right now.
But
either way, yes, I wouldn't envy your spot. I think it's a good pick from you.
Yeah,
I think it's a good pick from you. It is.
I wouldn't envy your spot here, but you know what? Like you said, your one saving grace is this Cowboys defense has been just that bad. Where it's like I could see it. Like Geno has had the Raiders with Gentry. They have had a couple games this year where the offense has like the Jaguars game, like with Brock Bowers. Like they get Bowers going, and Gentry going. Who knows, But I just who's stopping the Cowboys offense is my question mark. Like who on this Raiders defense stops them?
Yep, 100%. I mean, it's the Cowboys offense. They're averaging nearly 30 points per game. The Raiders are almost averaging 25 allowed, and they're not turning. Yep. I think it's a good move. Good pull on your side. Mine was going to be, what was it? Falcons money line. I kind of talked about how I think that this is like a get back after the revenge of them losing to the Panthers. That would have been similar, paying a lot of juice. And guys, fade me is a little bit different because me and Tasos wouldn't take a minus 180 or even minus 169 really on our own. Yeah. But like when you're trying to hand the other person a loss, changes a little bit just for the show. But minus 180, I think that would have been a good look. Would you have liked to have the Panthers at plus 176?
Better than having the Raiders. I would rather have the Panthers because like at least Carolina, they did beat them once this year, and the Panthers, they have won a couple of decent games. So, like, I would be better about that. But I also like Atlanta this week. So, like, I wouldn't have felt great about it. But I would better my chance with the Panthers in that spot than the Raiders versus the Cowboys.
Okay. Yeah, I think that I think I agree with that. So, that would have been mine if that helps anyone back home. Doesn't count for squat, unfortunately. But, Tasos, how do you feel about your board? I think that fade me round must have got you feeling nicey in a little bit more of a way, huh?
Yeah, well, because the thing is, I don't hate my board, but obviously, like, this was a week where I took unintentional, and some, like, the Drake May was not one I was hoping to deploy. That was, like, in the far reaches of my mind there. Yeah. But, I obviously took a lot of big swings this week, and, having at least that one where I feel like that's, again, we don't like to use the lock word too often here, but that's as close to a lock as you can get. Having at least a win and you having a loss in my mind already kind of locked in there. Again, this is going to look horrible if they actually blow it, but
let's hope they do. Hey, God forbid, like God forbid. God forbid.
God forbid. It does make you feel a lot better though. Like I feel a lot. At least I have something to kind of fall back on between that and then what was the first play we had?
The touchdown score?
Touchdown score. I forget what I had. Oh, Justin Jefferson. That one I like a lot too. Like having those two plays at least makes you all right. I have two that I really love and two that I like, but are obviously noticeably bigger swings there.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of H2H. Big week for your boy Ev. Honestly, a big week for Tasos too. This is a separation type week. Last week, you could definitely make the argument that it was, but 3 sounds a hell of a lot worse than 1 if you're in my shoes. So, so really looking for a win. I like the plays. We have a first round double down this week, which is going to be absolutely massive. And we have to wait for the dust to settle on Monday night. Couldn't really draw it up any better. Tasos, any last words for the people back home?
Just like we said in the top of the video, comment who you think is going to win this week. Team Tasso, Team Ev. I'm very interested to see who people, because like I've seen the comments every week. I feel like I'm going to get some respect for going for those bigger plays. But obviously, Ev, you have a pretty solid fan base. So we'll see what people think going into this one. But yeah, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your coworkers, your family, everybody. get people on the show because it really is a great show. Obviously, a little bit biased on my side, but go ahead.
He's not saying that if he's down 4-6. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, if I'm down 4-6, I'm like, hey, go watch something else. Go
Cancel
watch
this show.
Go see what Stephen A's up to on First Take. Maybe they're still doing good over there. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, guys. On that note, we'll catch you guys in the next one. All right. Peace out.